Hey everybody, this is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks, episode 191 on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast, following to the podcast, subscribing to the podcast, spreading the word to your friends and family and everyone in between, and also donating to the podcast. Thank you so much. There is a link on my Spotify episode where I allow you guys to make a donation to the podcast. Anything's appreciated. Also, um, there's a link on my YouTube episode which leads you to the Spotify episodes, which allows you to click the link and make a donation to the podcast. Thank you guys. Can you believe it? 191 episodes. So on this episode, I'm gonna try to talk about a couple things. Two comedy shows come to mind. I want to talk about the August 10th National Lampoon Yellow Door show. Also, August 15th show at the Coronado Tasting Room on Coronado Island. And we might talk about a little bit about food, maybe talk about a little about UFC. So on this episode, I got the chance to go to this Yellow Door again, 5th Avenue, downtown San Diego, and fun show. It was hosted by Mike McCullough, and this time I decided to try the Gyozas and chicken wings. Chicken wings are only one flavor. I believe it's buffalo. And gotta say, very meaty. Pretty tasty. Good job on the wings, Yellow Door. The Gyozas was pretty good. Who doesn't like dumplings? Japanese dumplings. They're pretty big. Can't complain. Pretty yummy. Let's see. Let's go with the wings being that tasty. Let's say 8.7 out of 10. He goes as the fact that they didn't skim on this, it was actually pretty delicious. I want to say goes as 8.8 out of 10. So yeah, as I was eating, Mike McCullough was hosting the whole show. He's wearing his traditional white dress shirt with the tie. He did have some smart jokes like he does usually. He likes to talk about his mail, being a current resident. I think he asked somebody in the crowd about apparently about food or a weird thing, and this lady in the front row had said peanut butter and jelly and pesto. So PBJ and pesto, it doesn't sound that gross. It actually tastes like something, if when done well, you could actually make it very, very tasty. So, I might even try that myself, except I don't know how to make pesto. I might have to use someone's leftover pesto from a previous food and make a PBJ and then add it together. And you got yourself a PBJ and pesto sandwich. How tasty, right? Anywho, Mike McCullough, yeah, you got a good feel for the crowd. They knew that this crowd was gonna like some smart jokes. Of course, I got them pretty fast and pretty funny. Mike McCullough, Given that he does always have like a very slow pace to his jokes, but it does hit with almost every joke, I want to say that overall 8.2 out of 10 for Mike McCullough. Next up, we have Jim Gallagher. Got to see him again. Always loves talking about not liking people. um, I would say he was an 8.4 out of 10. Um, now that you got a good feel for his comedy, sounds about right. Next up, we have Raul Zambrano. Um, I think he had some new jokes, from what I can tell. Um, he 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 did really well with this crowd. Crowd liked him a lot. Um, I think he might have had. Um, I think he might have had a joke about Dayton. Um, and I think there were a couple of jokes that I knew he retired, so I didn't hear it this time. So that's actually pretty great that he's actually moving on to new material. So and his new material did pretty well with this crowd. So Raul Zambrano 8.6 out of 10. Next up we have Cress Espinosa. He always likes to talk about his Criminal Minds character. I Because I kind of remember this part, I always yell out drug dealer. But of course, the lady in the front row had said something about drug addict or something, and I think he was playfully offended. So, and then I guess he addressed the whole PBJ pesto thing. So that was something. Um, so yeah, he did some crowd work, mainly with some of the crowd, but mainly with this lady who was with her lady friend in the front row. Uh, I guess he did kind of owned up that he was a drug dealer in the show, Criminal Minds. So overall, crowd liked him. Um, I would say 8.3 out of 10. Next, we have Umbretta Di Dio. Um, she likes to do a little bit of crowd work, but she likes to kind of go into her jokes about her being cheated on but not shitted on. Um, but she's really emphasizing on the shit or the cheat sounding the same, close to it. Maybe. Maybe it's just the accent. um, but Umbretta did talk about having dual citizenship, talked about her pussy, vagina, being a national treasure. Uh, that does kind of grab people's attention in the crowd, and she did talk about um, BJ's um, like candy, passing out like candy. Um, so that was pretty interesting. It did. It actually, for the first time, I think it did start to kind of have a little bit of a um, chilled vibe to her set, but then it picked up right away after that. So I want to say Umbretta was an 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Thomas Mays, cool guy. He did talk about having to be pulled over, but he had to go to the bathroom. Uh, he talked about how he knocked over a bus with the amount of stuff he was holding in. Um, that's always what I remembered from his set for some reason. I don't remember anything else. He did talk about the PBJ and pesto thing as well, so um, gotta say maybe it is kind of weird to do PBJ and pesto. But he did do a little bit of crowd work and just kind of remembered something from the show, and That was pretty cool though. Um, I want to say Thomas Mays was a 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we had someone I haven't seen before, Janelle Draper, and she did have jokes about her half brother and oh no, her step brother having a half brother, and then kind of implied or kind of hinted that she thought that her stepbrother's half brother was cute, like had a crush on maybe. So it's kind of like borderline incestuous, but if you don't share blood, it's not. I guess that's the rule, right? Don't share blood. It's not incest. um, Anywho, she did have some good jokes, but then it kind of tailed off a little bit. But then it kind of did alright with the crowd. The crowd liked her. I want to say she was 8.4 out of 10. Then we got Lin Sun. Um, I guess you could say she was one of two headliners. The reason why I say that, you'll find out pretty soon. So, Lin Sun had talked about being a massage therapist, talk about how many hand jobs she did in 1 year, calculating in her head. She did talk about Eminem, and then she talked about asking the crowd for some dark jokes that she wants to do. Crowd obliged, and then didn't give her much of a reaction. There was a guy in front of me. I think his name was Giovanni or something, and I guess he was really into the whole post show, always volunteering his voice every single comic for every single set. Uh, and then I guess with the dark comedy, it kind of took like a chill vibe for a good bit of the set, and then she got some good laughs, but it was kind of a mix of both. Um, she did talk about her son and calling tablets dad for her son. Um, that was pretty much, yeah, that was pretty much her set. Um, I want to say Lin Sun's comedy that night at the Yellow Door, 8.1 out of 10. And well, there was a second headliner. Last minute drop in. Um, we got, well, Mike Diamond. It's always great to see Mike Diamond. Always great with his comedy. Talked about dating, talking about, I guess he said being 40. And then he talked about how he had a night with a lady and how his man nipples were just like twirling around during sex because he was on the ground, and the way that the his date that night was riding him or something. And then I guess um, when he was on top, something that he didn't want to talk about, but apparently, well, somebody, maybe both of them, booty clap, booty clap. But you just don't know which one was which, and they never talk about it. So overall, you got a lot of good laughs, and he was the best one of the group, even though he was the last one to go up, last minute crasher. But I would say Mike Diamond was 8.75. That was pretty cool. Next, we have a show that was on August 15th. It was at the Coronado Tasting Room. Brought my friend Chris with me. I did get to taste this fried chicken banh mi. It was really good. It was the Go-Go truck at the Food Truck Thursdays at the Coronado Marriott. I got to have that, and I was eating it. I was walking over to the Coronado tasting room. Um, the show pretty much was hosted by Dr. Mo, who goes by Maureen O'Ray. She was hosting the whole night, and then she did some jokes. She talked about the Olympics, particularly the judges from the breakdancing. She got some good laughs. Um, I want to say that Dr. Mo was probably an 8.4 out of 10. She did bring up Brian Hartwell, first time seeing him. Also, first time seeing Dr. Mo. Brian Hartwell, I think he went into talking about Comic Con. And he might have talked about some dating. I think he said he was a dad now, I think. Um, it did pretty well. Didn't do too bad. The crowd that was there, they kind of liked him. I want to say he was a 8.3 out of 10. Next, we have Laura Hiltz. I've seen her before. I think I've seen her at the Galleys in Chula Vista. I've seen her around. She did talk about dating. I think she might have talked about dating younger guys. I don't think she was the only one, too. I think she did alright. She got the first row to laugh, I think. I want to say she was a 8.1 out of 10. Next up, we have Pamela Waldrip. She talked about dating as well. Talked about having done one of those career tests, aptitude tests, and she's good, supposedly, in theater, particularly ballet, but she could also be a stripper. She did talk about Only Pam when she talked about dating apps. So that was kind of cool. She got a lot of laughs. And she did talk about what was it? The Silver Singles, Silver Bachelor. So a lot of good stuff. I want to say she was a 8.5 out of 10. Next up was Brandon Peschowitz. He brought his guitar. He's part of a 3-member group called Less Than Foreplay with Edna Nerona and Chris Klabler. Brandon did talk about being a teacher and also trying to get the crowd to clap along to his songs. But I want to say he did not too bad. I want to say he was probably an 8 out of 10. Edna, she talked about lumpia, I guess, being Asian, and then kind of talked about lumpia being the best egg roll. Kind of beg to differ. But yeah, I want to say, and it got a lot of laughs. Did pretty well. I want to say Edna was a 8.6 out of 10. And then we got Chris Cobbler. He did talk about quite a few topics. And I guess he might have talked about his personality. And I think he did alright. And he kind of helped transition into the 3-person group for the Less Than Foreplay. But him himself for his comedy though, I want to say he was probably an 8.5 out of 10. And then so yeah, all three got to go up together. Edna was on the piano. Um, Brandon was on the guitar, and Chris Cobbler, I think, was playing the guitar and harmonica, I believe. So, uh, they had quite a few songs. Some of them pretty catchy, and I really enjoyed it. I want to say their performance was 8.5 out of 10. So really good night in Coronado. Um, oh, I did get to try out the night market, the 626 night market. It was held at the Mission Valley Mall. I got to try out some dumplings. Guess you could call it shumai with pork and shrimp. I got it from All That Dumpling. It's really good stuff. I want to say it was an 8.9 out of 10 for those dumplings. And then I got to try something really special. I got to try the lobster Baco, and that is basically lobster placed in a white bun. It's kind of one of those Chinese white buns, which usually holds like barbecue pork or barbecue duck. In this case, it was lobster placed inside a white bun, and it's kind of open towards you. And it had some veggies in it, and they fried it, so it was kind of like a taco shell almost. So it was kind of a mixture of a bao and taco. So baco. Of course, bao is the white Chinese bun or white bun. The Asian white bun, let's call it that. Asian white bun fried as a taco shell, and you fill it in with lobster meat and veggies and other fixings. That was good. 9 out of 10. I guess they're from like Santa Ana. Can't remember the name though, but really good stuff. Night Market 626. They're the only one that ever got it. So try out the Night Market guy 626. Really good stuff. Oh, I did try this ice cream garden, and I got the strawberry flavored ice cream, and I got the, I guess you could call it, um, uh, peanut, I guess peanut butter or peanuts, which is like the toppings, because it looks like one of those flower pots, and then it looks like, you kind of had soil in it, but this one, it was filled with peanut butter or peanuts. So, and it was on top of the ice cream. So, it had some what looked like marshmallows, I think. So, really good stuff. That was dessert. I want to say that was an 8.75 out of 10. One last thing. I did get to watch UFC 305. It was in Manchester, England. Got to watch Protest TKO victory over the Leech Jiang Liang in the first round. That was amazing. What a finish. I got to see Tuvasa and Rosenstruck. They were both very cautious. They were very gun shy. Rosenstruck won by split decision. It's funny because I would have thought that maybe Rosenstruck or Tuvasa would have knocked each other out somehow, but they did not. They just couldn't get close enough to deliver the last blow, that power blow. But it's okay. And then got to watch Dan Hooker Dan Hooker got the I guess it was split decision victory over Matuz Gamrot. I thought Gamrot was going to win, but I think he didn't like the damage he took from Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker got more confident as the fight went on. And of course, he won that third round, which is the deciding round. So kudos to Dan Hooker for the split decision victory over Gamrot. Um, and then we got Urseg fighting Cara France. Cara France was just too much for Urseg. Finished him with a TKO in the might have been second round or first round. I think first round, late first round. And then we got our main event: Israel Adesanya trying to gain back his middleweight championship for the third time against champion Dricus du Plessis. Honestly, it was a bit of back and forth. Israel Adesanya was the better striker for the most part of the fight, but there were times when du Plessis did have some good shots on Israel Adesanya and also took him down quite a few times. And then going to the fourth round, I actually was thinking that Israel Adesanya was about to go up 3-1, but du Plessis actually got some punches and landed squarely on the face of Israel Adesanya, and then it led to a sequence where Israel Adesanya was starting to kind of run away from the damage, but unfortunately Dricus du Plessis pretty much chased him down, took him down to the ground, and did the rear naked choke. And I think that was the first time ever Israel Adesanya has been submitted. He tapped out pretty quickly. So that was the fourth round submission. Kudos to du Plessis for a great victory, and he might be fighting Sean Strickland next, or he could fight the winner between Robert Whitaker and Hamzat Chimaev, which is happening pretty soon. I would like to see Chimaev face du Plessis, and there's a wild card fight that could happen. We could have a super fight between light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira, the 205 champion, and we might see the 185 champion Dricus du Plessis fight each other. It could be for the 185 title, because we know that Alex Pereira likes to collect titles now. He wants to go for 185. He already has the 205, and now he wants to get the heavyweight championship as well from Tom Aspinall or Bones Jones. So sky's the limit for Alex Pereira. Anywho, that's all for me, guys. I got to get to a comedy show. I'll talk to you guys later. Remember to have good comedy, watch some good comedy, watch some good fights, have some good food, have some good company, and I'll talk to you guys later. You know the saying goes, boom! Tiggy Maximus signing off, baby. Later, guys.